My name is Isabel Joby, and today I will be looking at a poem called Hurricane Hits England by Grace Nichols. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Today we will be looking about the poem, about the poet, the summary of the poem, annotations, analysis, connotations and symbols, setting and historical context, structure, and conclusion. The poem. Hurricane hits England. It took a hurricane to bring her closer to the landscape. Half the night she lay awake, the howling ship of the wind, its gathering rage, like some dark ancestral spectre, fearful and reassuring. Talk to me, hurricane. Talk to me, Oya. Talk to me, Shango and Hattie, my sweeping back home cousin. Tell me why you visit an English coast. What is the meaning of old towns reaping havoc in new places? The blinding illumination, even as you short-circuit us into further darkness? What is the meaning of trees falling heavy as whales, their crusted roots, their cratered graves? Oh, why is my heart enchained? Tropical oil of the weather, I am aligning myself to you. I am following the movement of your winds. I am riding the mystery of your storm. Ah, sweet mystery, come to break the frozen lake in me, shaken the foundations of the very trees within me, that the earth is the earth is the earth. About the poet. Grace Nichols was born in Georgetown, Guyana, and lived in a small village on the country's coast until her family moved to the city when she was 8 years old. She took a diploma in communications from the University of Guyana and subsequently worked as a teacher from 1967 to 1970, as a journalist and in government information services, before she immigrated to the United Kingdom in 1977. Much of her poetry is characterized by Caribbean rhythms and culture, and influenced by Guyanese and Amerindian folklore. Her first collection of poetry, I Is a Long-Memored Woman, won the 1983 Commonwealth Poetry Prize. She has written several further books of poetry and a novel for adults, Whole of a Morning Sky, 1986. Her books for children include collections of short stories and poetry anthologies. In addition, she has also won the Queen's Gold Medal for Poetry 2021. Summary of Hurricane Hits England. The poem tells us about the speaker who has moved countries and feels homesick. The arrival of the hurricane makes her feel comforted, despite the fact that the hurricane is dangerous. The speaker seems to come from the West Indies, and hurricanes are often found in the West Indies. The speaker often sees hurricanes in her homeland, and seeing hurricanes in England makes her feel more connected to the world. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 1. It took a hurricane to bring her closer to the landscape. The hurricane makes the poet feel closer to England. Half the night she lay awake, the howling ship of the wind, its gathering rage. This is a use of personification and adjective, like some dark ancestral spectre. Use of simile. It makes the hurricane seem like a dark, intimidating ghost, fearful and reassuring. Use of oxymoron. It's terrifying, yet calming. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 2. Talk to me, hurricane. Talk to me, Oya. Talk to me, Shango and Hattie. These all are African gods. The poet doesn't literally mean for the gods to talk to her, but to connect to her and guide her. My sweeping back home cousin. Sweeping back home connotes free and wild. The hurricane and the poet have a close relationship, as told by the word cousin. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 3. Tell me why you visit an English coast. What is the meaning of old tongues reaping havoc in new places? The poet wonders why a hurricane, something that belongs to her homeland, is appearing at England. The poet wants to know why her culture is trying to mix with another one. There is a great use of rhetorical question. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 4. The blinding illumination. Use of adjective. Blinding means very bright. Even as you short-circuit us into further darkness. It's like an oxymoron because it's bringing both light and darkness, physically and symbolically. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 5. What is the meaning of trees? The trees are physically falling, but inside her, trees' roots of her ancestry are being shaken, falling heavy as whales. The crusted roots, the cratered graves. Simile. The trees are compared to the weight as whales. There is a use of adjective, crusted. Rhetorical question, their cratered graves. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 6. Oh, why is my heart unchained? Rhetorical question. She wonders why she feels free. Tropical oil of the weather. I am aligning myself to you. She is being one with the hurricane, one with her culture, and she is breaking her barrier. I am following the movements of your winds. I am riding the mystery of your storm. She calls it a mystery because her connection is incomprehensible. Annotations on the poem. Stanza 7. Ah, sweet mystery. She is confused as to why she feels different. Come to break the frozen lake in me. The frozen lake represents the barrier in her that is keeping her lonely and distant. She wants to break that lake, shaking the foundations of the very trees within me, upturning her ancestry and culture while understanding that you are who you are. Come to let me know that the earth is the earth is the earth. Anywhere you go, your culture and your home remains with you, not physically, but spiritually. It cannot be removed. It is part of your identity, and the earth can remind you this. Analysis. The world. Hurricane Hits England is a poem that talks about the homesickness and disconnection people can feel when living in a new place. When the speaker sees the hurricane, she feels homesick as it reminds her about her home. However, after a while, she feels comforted because she can understand that the things she had been used to in her homeland could also be found in new places. We know this because in the last line it says that the earth is the earth is the earth. This tells us that the speaker understands that no matter where you are, the earth can connect and remind you of your home. Analysis. Immigrant identity and belonging. While the poem explores the relationship between the natural world, it also explores the complex ways that immigrants may struggle with their sense of identity in a new country. The hurricane is native to the Caribbean. Therefore, it is part of its culture and pride or heritage. The poem seems to suggest, at first, that the speaker feels that these aspects of her identity have no place in England. However, the poem suggests that the speaker's Caribbean roots are part of her identity that she carries with her wherever she goes. The poem suggests that a person's culture is part of them wherever they go, and that they should go somewhere, they should accept their culture as part of their identity. Connotations and symbols. The hurricane. The hurricane represents a strong storm and conflict. When the hurricane arrived at England, it changed the landscape and created a link with the speaker's identity. Light. Light represents understanding and hope. In the line, the blinding illumination, the light guides the speaker and dissolves her loneliness. Darkness. Darkness represents despair and confusion. When the hurricane hits England, the line into further darkness tells us that the country is plunged into darkness, creating confusion, yet the speaker is calm. The frozen lake. The frozen lake represents the barrier that is holding her back. In the line, "Come to break the frozen lake in me," the speaker wants to break the barrier that is causing her disconnection and distance from England. By breaking that barrier, she manages to connect to the world around her. Trees, roots. These represent ancestry and heritage. In the line, "shaking the foundations of the very trees within me," the speaker upturns the trees of her ancestry/culture and learns to understand that wherever she is, she can still feel a connection to her home and culture. Setting and historical context. The poem is set in England around 1987 and is a modern poem based on the hurricane. The poet explains how she feels about the clash of cultures between Guyana and England. She then tells us that the poem was sparked by a large storm that hit England in 1987 and explains the different gods which she mentions in the poem. It also seems that the tone suggests that the hurricane has come to England on a rare visit, typically to see her. She makes it clear that the hurricane on the English coast is quite surprising. Although she herself is very familiar with hurricanes, she does not deny that it is reaping havoc and shows immense confusion as to its arrival. Structure. The poem varies in length as it shows the wildness of the hurricane when arriving at a foreign country. It is set in third person, which makes the poet and the hurricane distant and yet close. It then moves to first person, which creates the feeling that the reader is in the shoes of the poet. The hurricane is addressed as a person, which shows the close connection between the poet and the hurricane. When the poet says that she is following the tropical oil, it seems as though she is giving her trust to the pride of ancestry and that she has a strong bond. In addition, when the poet asks the hurricane to break the frozen lake in her, it seems as though there is a parental connection and that the poet is asking guidance. There is no rhyme scheme, however. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye!